Most men still live trapped in a dangerous illusion, the idea that winning over a woman requires constant effort, daily presence, and an almost servile dedication. They believe that the more they show interest, the more chances they have of being chosen. That the more present they are, the more she will value them, but this belief is precisely what destroys desire. Because here is the harsh truth. The man who chases, who gives too much, who becomes predictable, loses his value. He is not seducing, he is begging. And desire is not born of excess, it is born of absence, of doubt, of the contrast between presence and scarcity. The modern mistake of the emotionally needy man is to try to conquer by over-testing rather than by the power of strategic absence. He does not master the game, he begs to be in it. And in his attempt to be accepted, he gives up his position of power. You see, female desire is not activated by logic. It is activated by perception, and in the silent language of perception, a man who values himself, who knows how to withdraw, who does not give himself up easily, is automatically perceived as someone of high value. And that, in itself, changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. When you chase her, you put yourself in a lesser position. You are telling her without words that she is worth more than you, that you need her, that your life is incomplete without her presence. And that, to the female mind, is not attractive, it is neediness disguised as romance. And here comes the first provocation. True power does not beg, does not justify itself, does not bow. This man who lives in search of acceptance, who says good morning every day expecting attention, who is always available, is following a failed model. A model that was taught by a society that castrated the male leadership instinct and transformed men into emotional mascots, present but without presence, attentive but disposable, protective but not respected. Machiavelli did not teach how to shout. He taught how to be feared in silence. He knew that true influence lies in unpredictability, in controlling the narrative, in the psychological game of selective presence. And that is exactly what most men lack, emotional strategy. They become hostages to immediate desire and sacrifice long-term power. You want to be desired? Then stop showing how much you want it. You want to be respected? Then learn to withdraw. You want her to play your game? Then stop playing her game. Change the rules, create your world, and invite her into it without ever begging. The problem is that many people still believe that they need to win over a woman. But this idea is based on the wrong premise, that you are below and need to rise. Seduction does not happen from the bottom up. It happens when two worlds meet, but one of them has more magnetism, more perceived value, more center. The man who dominates the game is the one who doesn't sell himself, who doesn't need to explain his absence, who doesn't justify his choice, who doesn't bend emotionally to keep someone around. He's not trying to prove anything, because he knows his worth, and that, in itself, makes him magnetic. Now imagine two types of men. One who chases her, who asks if she's okay, who always tries to arrange something, who disappears and then comes back apologizing. He seems nice, but he's predictable. He's too available. He's emotionally submissive. Now imagine the other. He shows up with purpose. He disappears without warning. He responds when he wants to. He says little, but every word carries weight. He has a life going on with or without her. He doesn't ask for validation. He offers direction. Who do you think she'll think about before she goes to sleep? The second, always the second, because mystery seduces. Doubt fuels desire. And emotional control is what separates ordinary men from strategists. Those who master their own behavior master the field. This is the basis of Machiavellian. Emotional mastery, controlling without demonstrating, influencing without begging, being desired without imploring. And if you understood that, then here's the promise. By the end of this video, you'll learn 5 Machiavellian rules that will completely change the way you position yourself. Rules that will make you stop chasing and start attracting. Rules that silence anxiety and activate male magnetism. Rules that reverse desire and put her on your game. Stay until the end, because what you're About to learn now could be the difference between being remembered as a passing fancy or as an unforgettable man. Now that you understand that the error is not in the absence of effort, but in the absence of strategy, it is time to turn the key. These are the 5 Machiavellian rules that turn desire on its head and put it in your game. Rules that don't depend on beauty, status, or money, but on perception, control, and silent mastery. Rule 1. Walk away before she expects it. Simple and brutal. The man who disappears before he is expected leaves his mark on her mind. You need to break the pattern of predictability. The most common mistake is being too present at the beginning, responding quickly, always being there, showing that you are 100% available. This creates comfort, and comfort kills desire. When you withdraw at the height of her interest, something happens. Her brain goes into conflict. Why did he disappear now? This discomfort, this doubt, activates the most powerful thing. In female psychology, the instinct to seek emotional validation. A well-calculated absence is worth more than 1,000 declarations. You don't walk away out of spite. You walk away because you understand that whoever controls the pace of the game controls the game. It's like Machiavelli's silent wisdom says, few see what we are, but everyone feels what we do. Rule 2. Create emotional ambiguity. Predictability destroys mystery. A man who is always linear, predictable, cute, and kind 100% of the time loses his impact. On the other hand, a man who alternates between warmth and distance, presence and silence builds an emotional experience that captivates you. You become an enigma. Give her space to interpret you. Make her ask herself questions. Does he like me? Why was he so intense yesterday and now he's quiet? Ambiguity is not dishonesty. It is creating a complex, dense, intriguing emotional narrative. A game where she is never sure. And the female brain is addicted to deciphering codes. The obsessed mind is always the one trying to understand. Rule 3. Be a magnet for purpose, not a hostage to emotion. There is nothing more seductive than a man with focus. A man who has vision, direction, and does not put a woman at the center of his life. The opposite is also true. The man who abandons everything for her loses her respect. Do you want her to want you? Then show her that you're on the move, that your life is rich with or without her. She can't be the plan. She has to be the bonus. Women test limits but respect those who don't negotiate them. Machiavelli would say, it is better to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. In the game of seduction, being admired for your independence is the first step to being desired. Rule 4. Say less than you think. Show more than she expects. Seduction is not in words. It is in the energy you emit, in your calculated gestures, in your silent presence. The mistake of verbal men is to talk too much, to reveal plans, feelings, intentions. This kills the mystery. She needs to feel that there is more to you than what she can access. She needs to feel that there are depths in the silence, things she doesn't understand, but wants to understand. Talk less, watch more, touch less, aim for impact, not quantity. A seducer is a man who never lets himself be completely deciphered. Rule 5. Take her into your world, but never give up the throne. You must be an invitation, not a plea. A man with a world of his own, with vision, with clear principles, does not adapt to please. He invites, he shows, and whoever wants to come in, let him come in. But the throne remains with him. That is the difference between the man who leads and the man who follows. Between the man who commands desire and the man who expects crumbs of attention. The throne of your worth is not to be divided. It is to be respected. Do you want her to see you as unique? Then don't let her see in you what she has already seen in everyone else. These are the 5 Machiavellian rules that not only change the game, and they completely redefine who you are within it. They take you out of the position of pursuer and put you in the position of center of gravity. Because the man who doesn't need to be accepted is the man everyone wants to conquer. After learning the 5 Machiavellian rules, a warning arises that needs to be engraved like a hot iron in the mind of any man who wants to become unforgettable. The biggest mistake you can make is not being rejected. It's being accepted for a distorted version of yourself. And this mistake, unfortunately, is common. It's when you start giving up small parts of your essence to please others. When you give up your routine, your principles, your strategic presence, all in the name of connection. You start to adapt, to soften your posture, to be available when you want to be busy, to smile when you want to retreat. You negotiate your worth in invisible increments without realizing it. And when you wake up, it's no longer you. It's a version of you shaped by the anxiety of being accepted. But here's the brutal truth. The man who needs to reduce himself to be loved will always be disrespected. And no matter how kind, romantic, or present he is, he will be disposable. Because deep down, what triggers respect and desire in a woman is not her sweetness. It's her quiet firmness. The cell may be decorated, but it's still a cell. And what starts as a relationship ends up becoming an emotional captivity where you walk on eggshells to keep attention that should never have been earned with effort. How many men today live in relationships based on fear? Fear of saying no, fear of taking a stand, fear of being misunderstood. Men who have stopped leading emotionally and have started asking for permission to even exist. This is not love. This is emotional submission. And the woman, even without realizing it, feels it. Because no one respects a man who does not respect his own essence. Machiavelli already said, "Men in general judge more by appearances than by reality. Everyone has eyes, few have the gift of perception." And what he meant by that is clear. How you position yourself is more important than what you say or feel. You may have good intentions, you may love deeply, you may be loyal, but if your image conveys need, insecurity, or lack, the perception of it will be, he has no self-worth. And that is why so many good men are ignored. Because being good without being strong, without being firm, without being centered, is seen as fragility. And fragility, in the female unconscious, does not arouse passion. It arouses pity. And pity has never been synonymous with desire. You need to understand this. The world does not value what is obvious. The world values what is rare. Rare men don't mold themselves to be accepted. They present themselves as they are, and let the world decide whether they stay or go. And if the world leaves, they're still standing. That's power, that's respect, that's emotional dominance. And here's an analogy you need to remember. Imagine a man wearing armor. But this armor doesn't protect. It hurts. It injures. Every time he tries to defend himself, it cuts into his skin. But he doesn't take it off, and because he's afraid of being vulnerable. This armor is the character that many men build to please. A kind, predictable, approachable character. A character that seems safe, but that gradually undermines dignity. You have to have the courage to take off that armor, to face the risk of rejection, to be authentic even if it costs you temporary attention. Because true freedom isn't being loved by everyone, it's being respected by those who matter. Men who sacrifice themselves to keep a woman close are living in emotional self-deception. They think they are being good, companionable, romantic, but in reality, they are being forgettable. And is there anything more painful than being forgotten in a relationship where you gave everything? Here comes the most important point. The man who imposes his presence with truth, even if silently, creates a kind of impact that does not disappear. He makes his mark. He stays. Because he wasn't there to entertain. He was there to build something, with or without applause. Most men give up because they are afraid of losing. But the true strategist is so clear that he is willing to lose anything, except himself. Because he understood that losing a woman will never be worse than losing his own identity. And when this kind of man shows up in a woman's life, she feels it. She feels like she's not dealing with a needy boy. She's dealing with a man who leads his energy, who knows his worth, who doesn't have to shout to be heard or chase after him to be desired. That's why I tell you, explaining dignity to someone who can't see it is like throwing pearls to swine. And no matter how hard you try to convince someone that you're special, if you don't act like it, nothing you say will carry any weight. Value is not declared, it is demonstrated, and respect is not demanded. it is inspired. So stop negotiating your essence. Stop lowering your limits. Stop smiling at those who don't value your presence. You're not here to be nice, you're here to be authentic. And authenticity, when it comes from a centered man, isn't to everyone's taste. But it will always be respected. This is the difference between the man who lives begging for attention and the man who imposes his absence as a message. And remember, whoever loses you because you are true never really had you. And whoever recognizes your truth will fight to remain in your world. Now that you understand the real game, the emotional mastery, the rules that invert desire, the fatal error of negotiating your value, there is only one path left. Decide who you are going to be from today onwards. And that choice defines everything. You can continue like most men, reactive, needy, dependent on female validation. Men who live in fear of losing, who try to please, who gradually put themselves aside just to keep someone close. Or you can choose the other path, the rarer one, the harder one, the lonelier one at first, but the only one that generates lasting respect, the Machiavellian path, the path of the lucid, centered, strategic man. This path does not require shouting. It does not need catchphrases. It does not seek applause. It is silent, because truly strong men do not need to prove anything, they simply are, and their presence speaks before any words. And if there's one thing this man understands, it's that respect is worth more than acceptance, that desire is born from contrast, from scarcity, from solid presence, and not from desperate insistence. This man is different. He doesn't bend for praise. He doesn't sell himself for attention. He understands that if he's going to lose someone, it's because he's whole, not because he's a distorted reflection of who he is. And when he enters a woman's life, he doesn't ask for space. He occupies, not with arrogance but with clarity. He does not compete with other men. He transcends. Because he is not playing the game of the needy, he is playing the game of the select. And that's exactly what makes it unforgettable. The man who stands firm, who maintains mystery, who has direction and purpose, who knows how to withdraw when he is not respected, he becomes a reference, an enigma, a memory. That leaves its mark, even when he is gone. She may even try to replace him. She may even move on to someone else. But none of them will have the same weight. None of them will have the same presence. None of them will have the same emotional control that will disarm her effortlessly. Because while others are trying to prove something, this man remains intact. He is the contrast. And contrast is what the brain records forever. This is what men don't understand. The game is not about conquering. The game is about making an impact. And only those who have presence make an impact. Those who behave like someone who doesn't need anyone, but chooses to be there while being respected. You are not here to be just another person. You are here to be the game changer in someone's mind, to be the one who doesn't give in easily, who doesn't beg for attention, but inspires admiration. A man's true power lies in his ability to be alone and still be complete, because he doesn't build his identity on the desire to be desired. He builds his identity on purpose, clarity, and positioning, and that's something no woman can ignore. So if you are going to love, do it without losing your bearings. If you are going to get involved, do it while maintaining boundaries. If you are going to walk alongside someone, do it with dignity, not fear. And if you have to walk away, do so with poise. Because a man who walks with his truth doesn't need an audience. He is aligned with something greater, with a destiny that respects who he is, and not who he tries to appear to be in order to please. Do you want to be an unforgettable man? So stop trying to be understood. Stop being enigmatic. Stop trying to be accepted. Stop being selective. Stop trying to be right. Stop being real. Because what sticks in the memory is not what is predictable. It is what makes an impact. The certain absence, the calculated silence, the firm decision, the non-negotiable clarity. All of this builds a man who not only seduces, but transforms the perception of those who meet him. And this transformation is profound. It remains. Because it was not built with promises or sweet words. It was built with coherence, with posture, with emotional control. So never again beg for presents, never again ask for love, never again apologize for being intense, firm, selective. If you are going to lose someone, let it be for being whole, because the man who walks with his truth is never alone. He is aligned with the destiny that respects who he truly is. This is the kind of man the world tries to copy, but can never replace. This is the kind of man she will never forget. If this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Together, let's free a generation of men who no longer want to be accepted with a mask, but respected with truth.